Good afternoon.
It's good afternoon already.
It was the morning when we left. Oh,
Oh man,
all right.
we butchered another one.
That's all right. It was fun. Yeah, that was my fault because it is morning and I don't know what I was thinking. It doesn't matter. Here we are.
It's afternoon somewhere.
Yeah. Hey, there you go. That was for Dylan. It's afternoon back east. So there you go. Hey, we're out here on the trail.
As always.
Because where else would we be? And just shaking the legs out because today is
Leg day.
leg day. Woo!
Seems like the past weekend's been leg day, huh?
Yeah, it was because we actually did shoot a little video yesterday. Probably should have posted it out there because it was such a beautiful.
Saturday. Yeah.
Was that yesterday? Oh no,
Saturday.
that was Saturday. Yeah. Oh, what the heck? What did we do yesterday? I don't know. So yeah, we went and did this beautiful. We did the extended trail off of one of my favorite in Washington State. Really easy hike, the Greenwater Lakes Trail. Ooh, those bugs again. Greenwater Lakes Trail out of Greenwater off Highway 410 in Washington State is a spectacular, really easy, beautiful, meandering trail that follows the creek. And you cross back and forth across the creek and waterways probably a dozen times. Across all these cool bridges, and it's just a really cool, easy trail. And you basically can end at this big, call it the flats. You end at this big open area. You can take your shoes off, your boots off, your socks off, and go wade out there in that ice cold, freezing water. But man, it's a beautiful trail. And so we decided to do the extended version of it on Saturday there, which took us all the way up to Echo Lake. And instead of it being a about 5.5 mile round trip, ended up being a 14.5 mile round trip. and I've been wanting to do that for years, and we just never seem to get to it. So we did that on Saturday, and it was fantastic. So yes, today, leg day, was a little more significant after that because we barely even stopped. We hammered that out straight up there and back, and we're only at the lake for probably about 20 minutes talking to some people, and they were so gracious to allow us to use some of their bug spray because the mosquitoes are vicious. So yeah, so it was fantastic. So great day today, Pacific Northwest. We love our part of the world up here, and we're excited to come to wherever you are and come enjoy your amazing hikes. But today's hike talk, oh man, so many subject matters. But we were talking about this really good one that Ashley brought up about vulnerability, I guess, fear, some level, about just feeling like you're safe, meaning not like you need to go and have a safe space, none of that. Oh, probably shouldn't talk about that right now either. Yeah, we're not going to get political. But point being is, wherever you are in the world, how safe do you feel going in and out of your city and traveling to and from your office or your home to the store, in your community, and sort of what level of confidence and ability really is, to me, is the key. And that's kind of where our conversation started.
Almost there.
And maybe we'll just
You can do it.
I'll just let Ash kind of tell you about what she was coming to you today. So
Yeah. So, let's see. Wow, a few months ago now, I guess.
yeah.
Back in, I guess it was April. I'm in Tucson, and I had just finished my swimming career. I was probably a week or two out of swimming at that point. Kind of learning how to enjoy the pool without swimming in it. So I was with a good friend of mine, and we were out sitting by the pool chatting, talking about all sorts of stuff. And she was telling me about how she had been involved at this kickboxing gym for, at the time, about 1.5 years. And just telling me all about it, how much fun it was, how much of a great workout it was, confidence boost it was. And keep in mind, she's one of the sweetest people, just always smiling, always giggling, just always wants what's best for everybody else. And in my mind, she would never harm anyone, ever. But she's telling me about all this and trying to talk me into joining it as well. I'm like, I don't know, land sports, don't really have any sort of background in that area. Obviously, my dad here has a pretty extensive background in martial arts himself. But anyway, we were talking about that. She's trying to talk me into it. And we get on all these other subject matters. And a little later in the day, we got on to this topic about, and I'm not saying in any way that men don't experience these things as well, but as a woman, that kind of constant fear of, going out and enjoying yourself in these public spaces, going for a hike out on the trail by yourself, and that kind of constant fear that's always in the back of our minds about how do we protect ourselves, kind of what's our backup plan if something were to happen to us. And we kind of got on that topic, and I think it was about a couple days before that we had just got through the university another alert about another attack, another assault in the Tucson area, which was probably the third one within about a month. And so we're talking about all this stuff and how scary it can sometimes be. You're biking to practice at 5:30, 6 a.m. It's dark out for part of the year at that time, and just the things we do to kind of help protect ourselves. And kind of got my mind thinking, maybe joining that kickboxing thing wouldn't be such a bad idea after all. And she and I were both swimmers, both had pretty good strength, and trying to figure out, how to harness that in a way to be able to protect ourselves if we needed to for any reason, and try and relieve or ease some of that unsettling fear, I guess, about going out and enjoying things and not have to constantly worry about somebody's sneaking up on you, and it's sad to have to think about that, but I think a big part of being able to ease that thought, I guess, is having a way to be prepared for it and knowing what you would do in a situation where that might happen. And so she and I spent a long time talking about, our various personal defense mechanisms, I guess, and it was a pretty interesting conversation. But that kind of got us talking today about this idea of vulnerability, not only in as far as like an emotional state, but just in the world in general, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, so you ended up taking, we started this 30 days. So what did you learn about your sweet little innocent friend that took you?
So I kind of started touching on that, about how she is just this sweet person. Again, super strong. We were both swimmers. I guess I just always had this idea that she would never hurt anybody. Never.
I'd like her to hurt that fly that's been
seriously.
flying around us, but yeah, not a fly herder.
And so I ended up joining this gym and honestly ended up loving it. It was so much fun. And I go to one of the classes with her, and I'm over there holding I don't know if I'm even in the video, holding the pads to block her kick, and the instructor gave us 20 right power kicks. She throws this kick, and I'm like, oh my god, my forearms are gonna snap in half. And I saw her in a whole new light, and I was like, I don't want to run into that girl on the street, because she may come across as sweet and innocent, but she would definitely do some damage.
As they say, until she's not.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how the story started, and we wanted to make sure that this, became a little more public, because there is a lot of, listen, contrary to what the news would show you, the United States is the safest place on the planet. And again, that's, we get into all the controversy about it, which I'm not going to. It's safer than it's ever been. However, there is still a lot of crackheads and dopers and just crazy ass people out there that just for no other reason would want to instill some harm. And this is HikeTalk are all about upbeat, let's solve some problems, let's move forward, but you got to have a plan for all kind of aspects of life. And being emotionally vulnerable is the hardest thing you will ever do beyond anything, even in my early days of taking a lot of ass whoopings from people. And that, we'll save that conversation for another day. But as a very young person, I had a lot of anger. My mom was smart enough to put me into martial arts, and it saved my life. And in more ways than I would say, let's just go with the emotional ways. We'll talk about the physical ways later on. But yeah, having the ability to have that level of confidence in you to where it exudes out of you that people just won't screw with you. And I learned that at a very young age, 11, 12, 13 years old. Really kind of tired of getting beat up. I was literally the big, tall, fat, red-headed stepchild, as they say. And I always had a mouth on me. And so, martial arts concept made a lot of sense, certainly in my case. And it's not, this idea people, especially like you see UFC and a lot of contact sports and things getting a lot of publicity these days. And, and everybody has their views and thoughts about it. But at the end of the day, I would certainly rather have the skills that I have today than not have them. And does that mean I'm some badass? No. Until I need to be. And that's the whole point is do you have the tools in the toolbox when you actually need them? Do you know how to use them effectively? We won't get into the whole firearms debate, but when I go out hiking sort of out of bounds, I'm always packing. And I've had many people on the trail like, why do you need that? Why do you need that? And I'm like, well, if you've hiked where I've been and you've seen what I've seen, and you've come into situations I've been in, having another tool at my disposal that could deter a possible situation before it ever starts is essential. And you can fill in whatever tool it is for you that makes sense for you. But I'd highly recommend that along this journey, along this trail, along our HikeTalk.
Target reached.
Oh, there we go.
5 miles completed.
We're
Elevation 504 feet.
Plus.
Remaining distance 0 miles.
Yep, we got to wait for her again. So, bottom line is if you want to up your game, if you want to develop skill sets that will help you have instant confidence when you need it, I would highly recommend looking into some type of martial arts, physical activity that, and maybe in your case it's not a contact sport. Maybe you're super badass with a pen and you can write your way out of situations. That's an incredibly powerful skill set as well. And my point is that wherever you feel vulnerable, develop a new skill set that will help you overcome that vulnerability. If it's physical, get strong. Sometimes the simplest advice is the greatest. You got to ask yourself, are you actually doing it though? Are you actually committing to that process? And as we get deep into so much of this training that we are going to be exposing to the world, we're going to have and talk deeply about these various concepts, especially about the process. But right now, in simple terms, if there's an area that you feel weak, what are you doing about it? Are you still talking about how you feel weak, or are you working on that particular weakness, if you will? Now here on Hike Talk, we're big on working on your strengths because we believe that all of us have what Dan Sullivan from Strategic Coach would call a unique ability, and you should drive and live in that unique ability. However, there are some skill sets that you may need and that you will need, and especially if it ends up being something that helps you develop confidence that you do need to work on, then we highly recommend that. And so I think we'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
We're going a little long today, but this is a really, really important subject matter about knowing your vulnerabilities and doing something about it instead of just constantly or continuously worrying about it. Let's start developing some skill sets that can build and develop, work through those courage muscles and into confidence. So, hey, I'm Big D.
And I'm Ash.
And this is Hike Talk. Let's go get them today and the next day. We'll see you soon.